This is my first time attending it.
Okay, so you are welcome. Yes, we have been on this facilitation for about, yes, it's noted. We've been on this facilitation for about 5 weeks now. We started in
Yeah.
early April, I guess. And here we are. So you are welcome. This afternoon,
Okay,
we're
ma.
still
Thank
going
you.
to be looking at issues that we've been discussing. But last week, let me just bring us up to speed. Last week, we were trying to consider the different speeds that you require for reading and comprehending. If you remember, even as little children, we had something we call reading comprehension, whereby, in the school, we used to do reading comprehension. So we've been looking at the different techniques involved in reading. And last week, we looked at the different speeds that you require for reading different types of text. So sometimes you need a slow speed if you are studying for exams. I know your exams are forthcoming. Very soon you will start. You need what we call the slow speed or the study speed. You can't afford to, you have to read slowly so that you understand. If you are reading technical books, for example, if you are reading novels, books that the author has written in simple language, not many technical words, you require average speed for that. And then if you are looking for a specific information in a, maybe you want to get the name of your supervisor, maybe you are looking through the university brochure and your intention is to get the admission requirements. You won't be reading everything in that book. You'll be looking for specific information. So in that regard, you need what we call the scanning. You need the scanning or you need the scanning or the skimming strategy. Those are two reading strategies that are involved in the fast reading. We did a lot of things last week. We tried to, examine ourselves, we tried to test ourselves to see if we fall within the category of slow readers, average readers, or fast readers. If you check the videos that we posted online for the previous classes, you'll be able to understand these things that I'm trying to say. We also did establish that under the scanning and skimming strategy, you can do the two together. You can skim and scan at the same time. You can be reading for general information very fast in a textbook, and at the same time, you are looking for specific information. Those two strategies can be brought together. You can do them at the same time. For the study speed, I tried to explain last week that anytime you are using the study speed, one activity that goes with the study speed is what we call note making. Note making. When you are in the lecture, when you are taking a lecture or you are attending a presentation, a seminar, what you do there is called note taking. You take notes. As your lecturer is speaking, the way I'm speaking now, you can take notes. You jot the points that you feel are the major points in what I'm saying. But when you are studying on your own, which I expect that you also do as a student, what you do there is called note making. So when you use the study speed or the slow speed, you basically do what we call note making. And like I explained last week, note making, when you want to do your note making, you don't just start writing from the scratch. You start writing. That is not the way to make notes when you are studying for an exam or studying a textbook on your own. First of all, you need to read and understand what the book is saying. What is the textbook saying? What is the author saying? What is the thrust of this book that I'm reading? What is the interest of the author? That is the first thing you must do when you are making your notes. And in order to understand what the thrust of the author is, what the work is about, you need to pay attention to some things that will give you an idea of what the writer is trying to say. For example, you need to pay attention to the headings, the subheadings. In the book, for example, if you are reading a chapter, there will be subsections. You need to pay attention to the headings, pay attention to the subheadings. Those little signals, those aspects of the book, of the textbook, could be the means through which you will know what the major points of the book is all about, what the major points are. Then you need to pay attention to signals as well, like I explained last week. When you see therefore, nevertheless, consequently, moreover, first, second, these are indications that the writer is trying to draw your attention to the major aspects of the book, of the textbook, or whatever you are reading. Now, when you have now identified these major points, you now do what we call writing. You begin to write down the major points. And when you are writing your major points, you look for the major words or phrases that will give you maximum information about the major points you have written. For example, if you are writing about Ebola, you look for the major points, maybe words that signal how it is transmitted, how it can be contracted, words that signal how it can be managed, words that signal how it can be contained, and all that. You look for those words that will, that will remind you of the major points when you decide to study, when you decide maybe to revise later. Yeah, these are just some of the things that we discussed last week. Today, my interest is in helping us look at how we can read to develop vocabulary. How do I read to develop vocabulary? And by the way, what is vocabulary?
Do you want us to answer?
Oh yes, I love my class, being always interactive. Somebody has an idea of what vocabulary is? Wave. Okay, Abubakar, yeah?
Yeah, vocabulary are words that are formed to make sentence.
Sorry, I didn't really get to go back. You said?
Yeah,
okay, now let's just go on. He has made an attempt. He has said something and his major, he mentioned words. Now, vocabulary refers to the list of the collection of words that you have. That's your vocabulary, okay?
Yeah,
so he
like
mentioned, Abubakar mentioned words. So,
yeah.
So that's a pointer to the fact that he has an idea of what vocabulary is. Vocabulary is your word stock. Okay, it's your word stock.
Yeah.
The words that that the list of words that an individual knows and that he uses for everyday interaction, for special communicative events. That's your vocabulary. It's your word stock. And for those of us who followed when we discussed listening skills, we did mention that your vocabulary will determine how fast you can, how effectively you can listen. You understand? How much, for example, if I'm discussing a topic related to commerce, the words you know, the words you know about commerce will determine how fast you will understand that discussion. By the time you begin to hear technical words, you may be lost. The same goes for reading. The words you know, the meanings you know, the words you know, you are familiar with the meanings, determine how effectively you can read. Okay, now, vocabulary will require that I read intensively. If I want to develop my vocabulary, I need to read intensively. I need to read extensively. Now, what does it mean to read intensively? If I pick a book, if I want to know something on, let me say, I want to know something on meningitis, for example, okay? I want to have a deeper understanding of meningitis. Now, I take time to study books, materials around that topic. I'm focused. I have an aim. Maybe I want to know about how it is spread. Maybe I want to know about how it could be managed. Maybe I want to know about, where it occurs, where it has a higher level of occurrence, maybe in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I will look for books that are related to my intention, to my aim.
Yeah,
and then I will study deeply. That's intensive. That's what we call intensive reading. Now, extensive reading in general. I'm reading books. I'm a student. I should also do extensive reading. I should read newspapers. I should read my textbooks. I should read novels. That is extensive reading. You are just reading to acquire general skill. Intensive is you are specific. You see the difference?
Yeah.
So when we want to develop vocabulary, we require both. We need to read intensively and we need to read extensively. All right. I'm going to be doing something with you guys now that is becoming very common on this platform. I'm going to be sharing with us now that I want us to look at. Okay. You are going to see something on the screen now. If we're going to be doing it together. If you look at it now, I want us to test our vocabulary. I mean, I'm not going to record.
Mine is
record your marks. So relax. All right. Okay, so let's look at it. There are 10 words, 10 sentences, and alternatives are provided. Then you're going to be looking for, choose the alternative you think best gives the meaning of the underlisted words. All right, so let's go to number 1 now. Number 1, politicians are often cautioned to avoid making provocative statements. Out of the 4 options, here A to D, which one do you think is the best word that can replace provocative? Talkative, inciting, contradictory, persuasive.
B, inciting.
Okay, so let's move on. That's correct. Bala invariably turns in good, but I think you should be a bit quiet about it because now you are giving out the expo. But let's go anyways. If we're collaborating, no, we're doing it together. No problem at all. Okay, so let's go to number 2. Bala invariably turns in good assignments, but he procrastinates a lot. Delays, tells lies, argues, tries to persuade. Which one do you think is the answer? For number 2. The word that replaces procrastinates.
Delay.
Somebody is not bold. What's the answer? Answer is delay. Landlord is a rather loquacious fellow. Okay, which one do you think is the answer here?
Delay, yeah.
Loquacious. Okay, C is the answer. So let's move on. C is your answer. When you are loquacious, you are talkative.
Talkative, yeah.
Okay, so let's go. Number some local brewers used to describe it as illicit.
Prohibited.
No.
Illegitimate.
Illegitimate, yes, let's go. Let's go to number 5. We have severed our relationship with the opposing party. When you sever something, what do?
Broken off.
Yeah, you break it off. The death of Musa is admonitory to drug addicts.
Is admonitory.
Admonitory, yeah. Let's be fast. What?
High-handed.
Warning is the answer. Let's go. The Nigerian economy has been most resilient in the context of international economic fluctuation. Resilient, what will be the closest to it here?
Enduring.
Okay, enduring, yeah, that's it. Investment in uranium exploitation can be hazardous. Give me the answer.
Risky.
How many of us are for risky? How many are for unprotected?
Unprotected.
Risky is the answer. Risky is the answer. I wanted to know. Unprotected looks like the answer, but in this context, it isn't.
Yeah.
Now, the prospects are rather ominous. There is no joking about it.
Tragic.
It's gloomy. Our strategy is to adapt to. Our strategy is to adapt to the new situation. When you adapt, you do what?
Adjust.
Okay, thank you.
But there's adopt in the that's adopt.
Adjust is the answer.
Sorry, I thought I was.
Sorry, is adjust.
Yeah, adjust is
when you adapt to something, you are.
Yeah, adjust is the answer.
Yeah, that's the answer.
You adjust,
good.
Yeah.
How many of us think we sincerely scored 7?
No.
How many scored 7?
Yeah, I think we got 7.
We or I got 7?
I think I got
okay, 7. I think so.
Maybe.
Made an effort. Good, great. Thumbs up here.
Yeah,
now, that is it. Now, you don't worry even if you did not get 7, but your performance here is an indication. You know, these are pointers to tell whether we are moving forward at all in what's it called? Whether we have a worse talk. So, what you need to do is to keep getting better. Now, in a few minutes, I'm going to be discussing with us the strategies you adopt for trying to make sense or get meaning out of words when you find them in textbooks. They are your course material.
Okay.
Now, to develop vocabulary, what do you think you need to do to develop your vocabulary?
You read a lot, learn how to spell.
They call something a student's companion. What is it?
Go to the library.
A student's companion. There's a literature that is called a student's best companion.
Dictionary.
Yes, Sarah, thanks, and you're welcome. It's dictionary, really.
Yeah, right.
But I want to assure you that the dictionary is not the first place you go to when you're trying to learn the meaning of a new word. It sounds strange, but that is the way it is. The dictionary should be the last you consult when you want to get the meaning of a word. Okay, so let's go to the strategies that we need, which are stated in your course material. The first one is word attack. Word attack. What does that mean? When I get a word that is a bit long, I attack the word, as it were. You break it into parts. You don't break randomly, you break into the divisible parts. You know, we talk about prefixes and suffixes. Yeah? We know what a prefix, a suffix is. We know them. We know what they are. Okay, I will explain, because It's possible I'm not talking to only English language students here on this forum. So here we go. Now, a prefix is letters that are attached to a word. That's before, at the beginning of the word. Bits of language or letters could be attached to a word. At the end of the word, letters could be attached. Let me give you an example. If you have boy, that is the root. That's the core word, boy. So if you have boy, that's the core word. Now, if you add S to it to pluralize it, the S, there is a suffix. Okay? If you have, I'm looking for a prefix. Let me take submarine, for example. Submarine. The sub there is a prefix. It's coming before. It's a prefix. Marine is the root word. You get it? So these are, if you have a long word, chances are that there are prefixes and suffixes attached to the word. So you want to break it down so that you try to get the meaning of the individual category. That's the meaning of the syllables or whatever. By the time you get the meaning of the words that are joined together, chances are that you will eventually understand what the new word means. Let's take, for example, unfaithfulness. Unfaithfulness has on as a prefix. Well, actually, the core of unfaithfulness, the core of it is faith. Is faith. But let's look at it coming from this string now, this string. I will take the core now. Let me reduce it to faithful. Okay? Faithful. But even if we take only faith as the core, on is the prefix. Faith is the core, is the root word. Then you have full as a suffix, and you have ness as a suffix. I may need to share this with you guys so that you understand, so that it doesn't sound abstract. I want to separate it and then I want us to look at it. Okay, now let me share this. I'm trying to let you see what I'm saying in letters. Okay. You see the word here. You have unfaithfulness. Unfaithfulness. If you break this word down, you actually have on. On as a prefix means it doesn't exist. It's not there. Not. It actually means not. Then you have faith. Faith means belief in something, loyalty to something. You get it? And full as a what's it called? A suffix means that something is full of a quantity. It has plenty of something. And then ness is a condition. It's a state of something. When you have a suffix that has ness, it is the state. That thing is talking about the state of it. That noun now is in the abstract position. So if I have unfaithfulness, it means I'm saying that the person I'm talking about does not have the quality of being loyal, keeping to promises, or he's not steadfast. So you can see, you can actually break up a word and to be able to get the meaning. Okay, I'm going to try to use another. In fact, this other one I'm using is in your course material. So let's look at it. Humanitarian, I guess. Humanitarian. What do you think is the core, based on the explanation I've given? Oh, the already is here, but okay, no wahala. What's the core of humanitarian?
Human.
It's human. From human, you can extend. Now, if it's humanitarian, ITY has been added, ARIAN has been added as suffix. When ITY means also a condition. And of course, when you see IAN, like in Liberian and all that, some pedestrian, things like that have to do with people. You are describing a person. It's a noun. You're looking at a person. So when we say somebody is humanitarian, definitely what we are saying about that person has to do with being human. You get it? It has to do with being human. That's what we mean when we say something is humanitarian. There's something about it that is human. And when a person is human, that means he has a tendency for promoting things that have to do with the well-being of others, thinking concerned about humanity, about people. All right. So these are ways through which we can break up a word. And I want to challenge you to be doing it, you know, very, very easy. These are ways you can look at a word. I hope you're getting what I'm trying to do. Are we following me? Are we following me? Okay. Let me rewind.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
You can pick a word and then you break it down to the components. And by breaking it down, chances are that you will begin to have an idea of what that word means. Are you getting it?
Yes.
Okay, another strategy you can use for getting to the meaning of a word, understanding the meaning of a word, is the context of the word, the context in which it is used. Now, when we speak, the context in which we are speaking can be an indicator. In fact, in language, we call it context. We call it context, meaning, let me break it down to layman's language, fellow words, as it were. I pick a text, I'm reading a passage now. As I'm reading the passage, I can look at the context or the context, look at the words that are used, and I'll be able to begin to have an idea of what a particular word in the passage means. Let me share something with you guys on this. Okay. Now let me share this. I'm sure it will give you an idea of what I'm trying to say. For example, if you look at this passage that I provided. I went to the market yesterday to buy some ingredients for my jollof rice. Ladies, I bought rice, pepper, meat, vegetable oil, and spices. Now, for example, let's say the word I'm looking for is the word ingredient. I want to separate it from others. Let's say I'm looking for ingredients. And you have seen the context in which I used it. I went to the market because I wanted to cook something. And I bought rice, bought pepper, blah, blah, blah. What does that say about the word ingredient? What does it mean? Somebody wants to try? What do you think ingredient will mean?
What are we trying to do here?
Different food stuff.
You can, huh?
For cooking.
Somebody is trying, so do it. Tell me, what's your idea? based on I went to the market to buy some food or some things for my jollof rice. I bought this, I bought that. What do you think the idea would be now for ingredients? What do you think? Ingredients would mean things related to cooking, right? Things that I need to put together to cook a dish, right? How did I know? I knew from the surrounding words. Yes, I knew from all of this: rice, pepper, meat, vegetable oil, and spices. This is a context. So it gave me an idea that the word ingredient will mean different substances of food that I combine to cook a particular dish. Are we getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's go. Another strategy will be, we call it lexical familiarization. Sometimes a writer will use, he introduces a new word, then he will keep repeating that word using other words, synonyms. You know what synonyms are? Words that have the same meaning, or words close to it, close in meaning to that word, or antonyms, words that are contrast. But he uses definition. He may define the word. He may use illustration. Those things will help you to have an idea of what the meaning of the word is. Let me just quickly share something with you now. I'm sharing this from 343 of your course material. I want to show you something here these are things that are lexical familiarization. This is a strategy. Look at it. It said the post-colonial leadership in sincere determination to regain their self-determination showed superior qualities of intellect and commitment. They cooperated to defeat British imperialism despite the multiplicity of our tribes and the constant application of the British tactics of divide and rule. Now see where I'm going. Tribal Nigeria, led by the trio of the late Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sultana of Sokoto, the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and erudite Zeke of Africa, the retired Honorable Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. Now, you see from this part, I can get the meaning of trio. What's the meaning of trio, by the way? What does trio mean?
Three.
Sorry?
Three.
Huh?
Three.
Three. All right. Now, how did I get it? Even if I don't know the meaning of trio, proud to this time, it's easy to look at. The writer used something like illustration to help you understand, or explanation to help you understand the idea behind the word trio. He mentioned the names of the three Nigerian leaders, so that gives you an idea that what he's saying here is trio. Now look at another. Let me see if I can get it. I don't know if I can. I think, if you check here, he used the word 250 nationalities. He was describing Nigeria. He said, he mentioned 250 nationalities in Nigeria. So when somebody has mentioned 250 nationalities and he uses the word multiplicity, what does that tell you?
Multiples, more than one.
He's describing Nigeria. He used the word 250 and then he talked about multiplicity. You know, when you talk about multiply, something is getting, it means it's getting more and more. Many.
More.
Yes. Yes. So when you also see ethnic pluralism here, you have seen 250, you have seen multiplicity, and you see ethnic pluralism describing Nigeria. It all tells you that it's talking about a nation that has a lot, so many ethnic groups. Okay? He has a lot of, so many ethnic groups. And then you can use your past experience to get to the meaning of a word. You can use your past experience. I mean, we are students. You have been listening to words right from babyhood. All right? You've heard words in English in your indigenous language. You've heard words. So when you hear a new word, sometimes based on the experience you've had, you can connect and get to the meaning of it. I'll be sharing this with you now, because I'd like us to understand. Okay, now let's go to this and see. Now, if you hear this, you know, for goodness sake, I expect that all of us have swept. We've taken part in the activity called sweeping before. Hello.
Yes, yeah.
You know, in Nigeria, they say men don't sweep, men don't do house chores.
That's not true.
Okay, I hear you. But of course, all of us have an idea of what it means to sweep. So if you hear a sentence that says the burglar swept the house clean of all their belongings, the burglar swept the house clean of all their belongings. The burglar swept the house clean of all their belongings. You can use the idea, you can connect from what you know about the activity of sweeping to have an idea of what that means. Of course, the sentence here is not saying that the burglar helped them to clean the house. No, it's saying that the burglar carried all of their belongings, right? That's what the sentence will be, you know, referring to. And you can go on and on. For example, when we mentioned humanitarian before now, the fact that you knew at least a part of it, maybe not all, but you knew a part. You knew that humanitarian, something about it has to do with human. And when it comes to human, if you extend your imagination a bit, you will remember that humans have feelings, they could care about people, and all that. So to an extent, you have a little idea already of what the meaning of the word. So when you're using past experience, it can be based on your experience of the actual word. You have heard it before, so you can connect it to what you're hearing now. It can be that you know a part of the word, okay? And it could be that you are familiar, you have an experience of the context in which it is used. For example, if I'm discussing things to do with hospital, if you hear injection, I know it's not something you want to hear, but let's just say you hear the word injection. Because of your experience with hospitals, you can easily connect and know what the meaning of that word is. So these are ways to know. And then, of course, the final one, which is another way to know, is, of course, to connect to look at the dictionary. That is, when we started this discussion, I told you that, the dictionary is the last to look at. But before I even go to the dictionary aspect, I was discussing context now. I mentioned context, but you have to be careful when you want to use context to get the meaning of a word. Because a word could mean one thing, it could have a shade of meaning in one context and have another shade of meaning in another context. So you have to be careful. For example, let me share this example with you now. So you can begin to understand why context could be a bit tricky when it comes to using it to get the meaning of the word, but it's still useful to a large extent. If I see a word, if I have a sentence